stuff. And I'll turn off the lights. Probably should have done it earlier. The lights shining right on the screen are kind of counterproductive. Okay, shift enter. Good. Okay. All right. So search is now all through Windows, and it's the same in all editions. This is certainly very nice, nicer than having to memorize long paths of how to find everything. That's why, Microsoft began the journey with Windows 7 of getting rid of the menus, which they pushed to extremes in Windows 8. No more start button. They tried to get rid of the file, edit, view menu. They're trying to switch to a whole different philosophy because they're trying to move to mobile devices and not become dinosaurs stuck on these old hardware devices here. But most of us are very used to menus, and there's been a lot of resistance against trying to live without them. Anyway, so now you have search instead. Now you can search for files in addition to menu items, but it is a very strange beast, the Microsoft search. It has to index your whole hard drive, and this has been something Microsoft has struggled with for more than a decade. I remember Windows Office 98, I think it was. Office 98 had one of the early versions of Microsoft's system to try to scan the entire volume. It might have been Office 2000. When we upgraded to it, it was bizarre. We were using MS-DOS machines, and the hard drive would just be grinding away when you're not doing anything. They had this searching indexer that would spend an enormous amount of time trying to find all the files and index them and slow down your machine because they didn't have the ability at that time to run this as a low priority process in the background, which is how it works now. And Microsoft has struggled with this and never really solved it yet, how to properly index your drive. But this is their latest attempt to do it. So the idea here is to make it easy for users to find the user's files. They don't expect to be searching for operating system files. They want to make it easy for you to find the file you saved and lost, which is the #1 customer complaint, of course. So what it does is it builds an index gradually as a low priority job, and it's the new task manager has the ability to schedule a task, I should say, and it can run only when the machine is idle, when you haven't touched the mouse for a long time, so it won't irritate you. Something like you'd like to do that, you'd like to run a defrag process that way, and so on. So an index search is very fast. And if you search from the Start menu, the Search Home folder, or in Libraries, your location's in a home group, then you'll get an indexed search, and that search is only your files. The non-indexed search is the old-fashioned search that Linux people called grep, and that Microsoft XP called, Windows XP called a Grover the Search Dog. So if I go to Documents, and I search for something like Fred, it immediately finds the answer. No delay at all, right? Not even 1 second blank. It knows there is nothing called Fred. Whereas if I search for something like Restore, it should find a bunch of things, and it's going to find not only files named Restore, it's going to find lecture notes that reference System Restore. It's looking inside the files. All the text it can read inside those files. And of course it can read in Microsoft Office documents, plain text documents, and PDFs and things like that. There are some things you can't read in. If I had a photograph of a page with the word Restore on it, it would not find it, because it doesn't do optical character recognition to try to reconstruct words from images. Anything that has text in it, it'll look in there and find the text. And it does it very fast. And the reason it can be fast is because it's not searching a whole machine at all. It's only searching My Documents, My Libraries, and a couple other places like your desktop. If you go somewhere else, like if I want to find a Windows system file, so I go to like C, even the root of C, and now I search for Fred, even if I spell it right. I'm going to get, there we go, yeah, green bar. This is going to take 5 minutes. This is exactly the same old search that's been in Windows for a long time. They call it a grep search, which is the Linux command that does it. And it has to now read every file on the disk. And it's only going to match the file name. It's not going to look inside them. It's going to take a long time. And Microsoft has not found any practical way to make this faster. They wanted to. They wanted to rebuild the entire file system. They promised to make a thing for Vista called WinFS. And then they were going to put out for Windows 7 that would automatically index every file and find things quicker, but they never got it working, and they just abandoned it.
What do they mean by the search home folder?
There used to be a thing called Search. I'm not even sure it's there anymore. See, this is a lawsuit. In Vista, before I think Service Pack 1, there was a search menu item right here. You could click Start, Search. And Google sued and forced them to take it off, saying they own the word search. And so Microsoft cannot have something called search. And so they took it away, And I think there was a sort of backdoor way to find it previously. I'm not sure it's still around. If I search for search, yeah, there is a thing called a search folder. There it is. There's your searches. You can search in here and then you'll get, I think, an index search. But this thing, there might even be some way to turn it back on. But it was used to be a default item, like computer network search. But they took it away to please Google. All right. So this is going on because there's a process running in your background that is indexing the whole hard drive, like I said, and therefore it's only available after your machine, maybe 24 hours after a fresh install. It indexes everything. It will look inside every kind of file it can read, when it reads those with pieces of software called protocol handlers, the same thing your browser uses to open documents. You know, if you click on something like a PowerPoint in a browser, it will typically open and show you the slides. It doesn't force you to download it and launch a PowerPoint separately. It's got it right there. So that's the game. It has handlers, of course, for any Microsoft product, like Microsoft Office, Windows Live Mail. So the index includes these things. Your profile, anything C users your name, except for app data, which is program settings, and it's not where you're supposed to be saving your files. Anything on start menu, i.e. favorites, email, offline files, and anything in the libraries. You can adjust the indexing options. But this is probably not a good thing to do. This is confusing. What's much simpler is if there's a folder someplace that you want to add the indexes. Like, for example, if you're really old-fashioned, by the way, this search is still running. If you're really old-fashioned and you make a folder somewhere Microsoft doesn't expect, like I could go C and make a C SAM folder. This is the way we used to do things in the days of MS-DOS. Everybody had a folder right off the root with their name, and that's where you put all your stuff. And if you're in this habit and you want to do it, then this won't be indexed. So to make it indexed, you would add it to a library, like the documents library. And now, wait, I seem to move it. It's not what I wanted.
Put it in my documents.
It's not what I wanted to put it in the library. That's going to move it. That's kind of annoying. Move to my documents.
Right click and add to library.
Yeah, I guess so. Huh.
But you might be able to do it
Oh,
on
right
the same,
click. Including library. Okay, good. I thought I'd done it previously with dragging, but maybe just from another drive. That's probably why. So now I can include in library documents. And now my documents, well, now they're updating. Now it's going to update the library. So it includes this folder. Now my documents contains these three objects. Zoom in on that. Now I've got documents contains my documents, public documents, and SAM. And you can add as many things as you want to. And now anything I put in SAM will be indexed and found more quickly. So you can do this. It's a thing that's probably the most practical way to add something out of the usual places to the index, although it's probably simpler to just stick with the Microsoft plan and put your documents in a thing called documents they prepared for you. But if you have a folder of movies or pictures or something somewhere else, that's how you would add it back in to get it indexed. All right, so the file formats that are content indexed, which means it looks inside the file and indexes all the words in the file, are just the ones that you would think. Anything that can be easily turned into text, like web pages, notepad files, WordPad files, and as I mentioned, not picture formats, except some picture formats do have some text in them. And I think it'll search for the metadata on the pictures, like the name of the camera and such. But it will not detect words in the picture. Here's things that are not indexed. The Windows folder, recycle bin, the default folder, program files, program data, of course. All these things are places where you do not expect a user to put any user-created documents. And it's not what index search is for. You can even download a gadget and add it to your desktop, and then you can see how the indexing is going. I don't know why you would do this. It's like watching grass grow, but it is possible to get this thing, and it will then tell you how many items are in the index and whether it's up to date, and you can actually watch. I even tried putting a project back in my Vista classroom. This is all brand new. You can watch the index form. On a fresh install, it's not there, and it takes a long time to make it, actually. Same thing's true of Google Search, by the way, which I don't know if it even exists anymore. It was big in the days of XP. You install Google Search, and it would take a day to index your hard drive, and then you could find things quickly on your hard drive. Then you could also search your computer for a remote location. So it had security implications. And there are certain conditions you could actually take over the machine for remote location through the Google Search. So I think that's kind of what made Microsoft decide to write their own. It was clear that people who did not find the stuff built into Windows XP useful enough, and there was a market for improving the speed test. So I tried speed tests before, and I found the same thing I've told you, which is that if it's in the index, it'll find things very quickly. If it's out of the index, it'll take a really long time. several minutes to find anything on a typical machine. Their search algorithm is just not very effective. Anyway, so the search box is all over the place. And like I mentioned, yeah, you already got up here. There used to be a search option right on the start menu, but Google soon made Microsoft remove it on the grounds that search was a Google patented term, or something like that, trademark or something like that. Now the search is very strange, the index search. I had a student in the lab yesterday that was saying, I told him you had to launch something like BCD edit. Watch, I mean BCD, let me zoom in on this. Okay, BCD edit. It's not listening to me. All right, what's going on? The evil zoomer has messed up my life. Okay, I will launch it. BCD edit. Okay, there's a command. There it is, BCD edit.exe. But if I put in just the first few letters, it doesn't find it. So what's up with that? That's the point of search, right? I put in a few letters and it's supposed to find it. It doesn't work that way at all. And there's other ones, like MMC. There's nothing with MM. But if I put in MMC, then it finds MMC.exe. And then command.com is going to be even more fun. There are, yeah, I've seen a few because there's things with the name of command.
If you put the name of it, if you put like Microsoft Management Console or something, would it?
I don't think so. Only things that really have that in the official launch. It is very strange.
Okay.
It is very strange. And there are MSCs. I'm trying to think of a good MSC. Comp management, COMP, MGMT. Can't find it. You have to type in the .MSC. Now it finds it. This is the weirdest search engine I've ever seen in my life. It finds certain things with a fragment of the word, which if it's in the title of the object, like the menu item, and you put in a few letters, it will find it. If it's a command line command, it will not find it until you put in the whole command, including the file name extension, except for EXEs, which it will find from the first part without the EXE. It is weird.
It did just have computer management though when you put COMP.
Yeah, when you put just this much, it'll look for things that have COMP in the title. But the actual name of the thing is MGMT, and it won't find it from fragments, so it's weird. It doesn't look through command line commands. You can launch command line commands from here, but only if you put the whole thing in. I'm sure this is intentional, but anyway, it's a little bit weird. They call this a word wheel. You don't have to put in something and click search. As soon as you type letters, it starts searching, but in this very strange manner, where you type a few letters of something. I had a student in the lab saying, it's not working. I typed in a few letters, this thing is not there. I said, yeah, just keep typing. It'll show up as you put in more. And this is not the way you expect it to work at all. Completely counterintuitive. You would think that if I find it after putting in 10 letters, if I put in 8 letters, I would also find it. If I put in 3 letters, I'd find many items, including the one I'm looking for. It's not logical like that at all.
It doesn't do it with system or commands or...
Yeah. It's odd. Anyway, so you see results up here. You'll see programs at the top, then control panel items, documents, and music, and so on. Various categories that matches to your search engine. You can customize them. Let me try some of this. Right-click, Start Menu, Properties, Start Menu tab, Customize. Okay, here's stuff you can do. You can, this Zoom thing is not working out very well for me. All right. There's my search icon. I can choose whether to search other files and folders, just in public folders. I can choose whether to search programs in control panel or not. But nothing terribly drastic. You're pretty much stuck with this search the way they gave it to you. And I mentioned this before, it is really very strange. You search your command line commands, you get the results that are not at all what you would expect a search to do. You can also, of course, do advanced searches. You can search, if you're searching for a document and it has a very common name, you can limit by size, creation date, and so on, just like you can with any other search engine. All right. And you can change the indexed areas by clicking on this yellow bar to search, and decide to also search C windows, add something to the index permanently if you want to. Then it'll spend a long time indexing it, and then when you try to look at that folder later, it'll find things faster. All right. You can choose whether you want it to include system directories in searches, when searching non-indexed. Otherwise, it will try to skip all the system directories, thinking you don't want to look at them. And this is, if you say don't use the index, you can turn off the new index entirely. The index locations always search contents all is search file names and contents. And there's a here's the one, don't use the index. Don't use the index when searching in folder systems, for system. Don't use the index when searching in file folders for system. This will remove the new index search completely and give you only the Windows XP search, which is Rover the search dog that always takes 3 or 5 minutes to find anything, but it always searches through all the file names and does not look in contents. So add that option. All right, I got a few eye clickers. You should come grab one if you need one. So, which location uses grep searches by default? So I'll put it 35. It would be the searcher's home folder. All the rest of these will give index searches, but the searcher's home
I thought it
folder.
was B.
Oh, computer. You think computer will?
No, computer.
Oh, I think, actually, no, I think you're right. Pardon me. I'm glad you folks are more awake than me. Computer, this will do grep searches. I think you're right. Let's try it. Yep, you're right. Thank you. Don't let me get away with anything. Good. So A is the right answer. Good. All right. How about this? Which of these is not indexed by default? All right. I think there's one right answer here. All right, and that's app data. We talked about that. App data contains system settings like templates for Word and such, the kind of thing you're not normally searching for. Which of these is not indexed? All right, and that's C user's default is the one standing out there. Locally stored email will be indexed. That's something you might usually want to search for. But things in C user's default that's not a place where you should be putting anything. As we talked about in the quiz, putting things in C user's default is a weird thing to do, doesn't lead to any sensible result. Store documents there, you're not going to see them. Nobody else is going to see them. What's the point of that? They don't bother indexing that. All right, and how do you run MSConfig? What do you have to type in to see it? I think I'll put it 30. All right, so you've got to type the whole thing like you saw. Very odd. Not more than one of those. If you would think MS would find it, but it won't. Con won't find it. Big won't find it. Very strange. That's the way it is. Okay, so we might as well take a break until 9:55, give it 10 minutes, and we'll go to the next chapter.